Hey, Victor Marx here with another guest on the show, Sarah Jane. That's what we're going to call you, Sarah Jane, because that is your name. Yes. And this is a very special time because we're here at the training center, Colorado Springs, the Leadership Training Center, and we just finished with a very unique weekend, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It was amazing.
Right? Well, now, for those listening and watching, we're going to talk about your background, what you're involved in, and even there's talks about a future movie on your life story and what you do. But I detect an accent.
Yes, I'm from France.
France.
I was born and raised in France. I moved to America 8 years ago as a missionary against sex trafficking.
Wow. So you came from France
to Las Vegas.
To Vegas to work as a missionary.
Against sex trafficking.
Against sex trafficking.
Not speaking a word of English, no money.
No kidding.
2 suitcases, that's it.
Holy smokes.
Didn't know anyone.
That's rare. I mean, how many people come to the U.S. to be missionaries? But that shows you we have a need, and especially in this area of sex trafficking. Now, before we get into that, tell me about this weekend. What impacted you about it?
So as a survivor of human trafficking myself, I had a lot of healing and counseling, and, you know, my life has been restored in ways I didn't even know was possible. And also in the work I do, I'm in the front line. I go into brothels, strip clubs. I meet girls that are being trafficked, people that are being exploited. I meet, sometimes underage girls. I meet sometimes pimps. And I really realized that even though I had a lot of healing, I still sometimes have PTSD or things that really scare me. And obviously because of all the abuse I experienced as a child and when I was being trafficked. So when I had the opportunity to be like, hey, let's face your fear and let's just go forward in training myself in a safe environment. That was the big thing for me. I needed a safe environment with people that know exactly what they do, but also that are educated in trauma. So you could see like, okay, I'm being triggered right now. She needs to breathe, you know.
Right.
And also knowing that you're a safe man and you will not touch me in a way that could like trigger me. So it was really a lot of healing. Like, I need to be able to fight back if something happened, or if I know in the future I will be put in situation when I have to learn how to defend myself, or the victims that we're trying to help. And not that I want to kill someone, but I want to make sure I can stop them from hurting anyone. Right.
Inherently, the risk is there for the type of work that you do, and we do, working counter sex trafficking. So so people who are watching or listening can understand, we did put you in positions of uncomfortableness through jiu-jitsu training on the ground, mat work. We did blade work, edge weapons. You did some shooting.
I did some shooting. I can't believe I did, but I did.
And hey, you just got to hear me out. For someone who would be like, you were the best shooter in your group, which we were just like, holy smokes.
I guess it's because I was so scared that I just had to do it well.
I love it. And that's a surprise. Most people who are terrified about facing certain aspects in the right environment, what we do is we channel that courage that's already in you, because there's no way you don't have courage because of what you survived, what you went through, and the courage to do what you do. I mean, as a Christian, you're saying, I'm going to go and help those in Las Vegas, which is, in
California too, and Tulsa.
Other places. So anyway, it's great because our instructors and our staff and our team here, you had the privilege of working with former Delta operators, full Delta operators, male and female, and of course the rest of our team, and then surrounded with a group of people wanting to do the same thing.
And safe. I felt so safe that I think I would not have been able to do it if you guys were not there. So I'm really grateful. I felt safe. I felt understood, honored and respected, and like God, will do as a father, like being there next to you and, hey, I know it's hard and I know you're crying, but you can do it. I'm here with you. And so you guys did for me this weekend. Like, I feel so empowered like never before.
Yes. And that's what we want to accomplish. It's kind of like skydiving without a parachute.
Yes.
And saying, hey, we're going to be next to you. And we're going to put it on you on the way down to give people a perspective. Yes. It is very fearful to do things when it's so uncomfortable because you can be triggered. And you were triggered.
And I was,
And
but I pushed through it
did.
because you were there.
You did. And I tell you what, we're proud of you and thankful for you. So let's let our audience get a little bit more familiar with your past. You talked about childhood abuse that ultimately led into being sex trafficked in Europe.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So it's a long story, so I will have to do it short. But I was born and raised in France, and I didn't grow up with my father, but the man that was with my mom when she was pregnant of me was very violent and abusive and a drug dealer. So he used to beat her up with me in her womb to try to kill me because he was not the dad, and abused her when I was in the womb. And people were telling her, like, just get an abortion, like, don't, she already had 2 children that were older, and she said they were telling her, just don't keep that child. But my mom experienced God. So my mom is like from North Africa, and so she was raised by a Muslim family, but they were not really practicing when they go to France. What country? Tunisia and Kabylia, And
we know Tunisia.
And then my ancestor, I'm from like big mix, but Middle East and North Africa is part of it too. So she searched God all her life, but she couldn't find him in Islam. She couldn't find him in any other religion that she tries. But when she got pregnant of me, she experienced Jesus as her savior. That changed her life, and it's what protected me from the man that he was playing like the roulette, Russian roulette on her.
Yeah.
When trying to kill her and stuff. So I experienced everything right being in her womb. I was not born yet, but God protected me. When I was born, he was still there, but he was playing and putting me in a bottom of the table and doing like he was gonna make me fall to scare my mom. But he ended up getting into jail, and my mom got saved.
Thank goodness for jail.
Yes, and then so I grew up Christian because now my mom is loving God, and we have Bible studies every night, and I'm learning about Jesus. But at the age of 5, someone from my family that is schizophrenic, we were playing in the house, and we let him come in, but we were not allowed to. My mom was at a prayer meeting. And the nanny was next door, so she didn't left us alone, but we were not allowed to open the door. But we saw someone for the family, so we're like, it's family, we can just open the door. We were very young, and not knowing he was schizophrenic, we were playing, and out of nowhere, he grabbed me on the bed and struggled me. And my brother came right on time to save my life. But what happened, the reason why I'm sharing that story is because when my mom came back, she was really like upset, obviously, you know, but not upset at me. But
how old were you at this
I was
time?
5.
5, and this man strangling you.
He would have killed me. And I was completely paralyzed. I didn't know how to defend myself. It's why like this weekend meant so much to me when I saw like the little boy like that does jujitsu, that he was able to defend himself, and because they did when they were being shocked and what to do to get out. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I had known that at the age of 5, he's only 6, I think, like, right? It's not far. Like, if I had known that, I would have not been paralyzed, because if my brother didn't come in that room, I would be dead. Like, and so I'm like, it's so important. Like, my son is 4. I'm like, gonna start like having trained, like
getting him in.
Yeah, getting him in.
Good.
But the thing is that I really felt in my heart like I did something wrong, because my mom was upset.
Of course.
She's not upset at me, but it's how the brain works. I'm a 5-year-old young girl. We opened the door. I should not have opened the door. Something bad happened.
And most children who can't process rationally and logically when trauma happens, the only way they can kind of accept it is something I did wrong. Either something is wrong with me, or I did something wrong. And so when I got sexual abuse for the first time at the age of 6, and then exposed to pornography and other abuse that happened after, I didn't talk. I stayed quiet because I felt like if I say something, that must be my fault, like something is wrong with me. And the fear of it's my words against someone that abused me. And so I decided to like shut it off my brain, like, and just not talk about it and try to numb it. There were signs like I was showering 5 times a day. I had nightmares. Like, you can see the signs, but my mom didn't recognize the signs, unfortunately.
So was going to school, were a very good student at school. There's other traumatic things that happened, but we don't have enough time for me to share. But yeah, really good student, on top of my classes all the time, playing basketball, singing and dancing in musical plays, like really good kid, going to church every weekends. At the age of 12, I heard someone that was sharing about opening centers and houses for women in prostitution and gang members. And God told me, it's your calling. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because I didn't know what a gang member were. I didn't know about prostitution. But I felt like it was my calling, but the enemy just really didn't want me to go into it. So he attacked me.
When you say enemy, who are you speaking of?
The devil.
The devil. Yeah. So you believe in evil.
Yeah, I believe in evil. I mean, how can you not in this world? It's like pretty particularly now. Yeah. And I feel like it was everything coming against me. And I had this desire to be loved like every young girl I mean, we all watch Disney movies and you watch like all the things the culture is teaching you. A woman needs a man to be safe.
Yes.
You know, you need a man to be loved or to be significant. Right. So I believe that to get out of like the pain I was feeling, all the things that I was experiencing, I needed a man. Right. And I didn't have my father. So I met a guy at church that was studying to become a police officer, like military police, gendarmerie in French, we say. We trusted. He was older than me, but we trusted, like you're in all those things. So he must be a good man.
And that represented protection, provision, everything a young girl
is looking
desires,
for.
Right.
Yeah. And he goes to church.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, went out with him. He ended up being abusive and jealous. A lot of jealousy, completely controlling me. Like being very sexually violent with me. Like just messed up for 4 years. I don't have enough time to share the details, but it really like was abusive. I was scared of him. I couldn't dress the way I wanted to. I remember if my phone was ringing and it was a fake number, I was shaking by fear that he would think that a guy was calling me. Yeah. He broke one of my teeth. Once I didn't want to have sex, and he headbutted me, and my nose was still like this. I never had surgery, and I'm still having issues with it. But it's like, so it's it really is like that abuse that I experienced. He was not a pimp, but he taught me how to be submitted to a man and fear. Like
he broke you.
He broke me.
So let's pause right there, because in America, and we're around the world, but let's say America, there are many girls that go to church and they're told, hey, find a good Christian man and they're safe. But we know the reality that some guys who are the nicest, kindest, represent protection, end up being monsters. And they prey on young girls and women at church. So we would caution the listeners and audience to understand you have to be very discerning. And it's not what people are labeled. Yeah. I'm a Christian. Or whatever. It's their character.
Exactly.
Find out who their character is. Because once you get caught up, it's very difficult to break free of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's affected your mind and heart, right?
And I also grew up from a very legalistic church. Right. So for me, I messed up. I dated someone I was not supposed to. And then we had sex before marriage. So in my mind, I destroyed my calling. Oh, okay. God hates me.
Oh, okay.
And all that's happening, it's my fault. I disobeyed to God, and I'm under judgment.
Being isolated right there in your mind by the enemy.
Completely. And it was all lies, but I didn't know those lies. That was lies. So and then we ended up stopping going, when we stopped church, we're not going anymore. I left my mom's house because obviously I'm not going to church anymore. We were fighting. I was a very good student, like very, very good student. And out of nowhere, all my grades are falling. I lost 30 pounds in 2 months. I have anorexia. I can't keep water in. I'm passing out at school.
Oh my goodness. How old are you at this time?
14 when I started dating him.
14. And how old was he?
He was 18.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so big signs like red flags, and nobody
got it.
Nobody got it. And so I could have been saved from trafficking there. Like I would not have fallen into trafficking. I needed to be saved from domestic violence, right. But nobody saw it. So a teenager, people are like, oh, she's just having a teenager phase. Like, they don't see the sign, and I'm not judging them. They're just not educated. And it's also why I'm speaking out now, because I want people to watch it, to be like, wait, I know a girl that is going through that, and you will be able to recognize them. Yeah. So,
especially in the Christian community, because if people fall out of our graces because they're having behaviors that aren't typically, Christians who are legalistic won't reach out, won't try to catch them and help them and say, what's going on? They'll just say, you need to do better, or you're not a good Christian.
Yeah.
We call it behavior modification by somebody's standards, but not by the love and the power of God's Spirit.
Yeah. When we go in now, so I go back to, like, in the brothel, in the strip clubs, and I meet hundreds of girls all the time. Like, I go back because a lot of them, when they find out we're Christians, they're scared at first. They're like, oh no, you're coming to tell me I'm going to hell. Like, because Christians do that, not even realizing that most of them are completely trapped in that life. They don't even want to be there. And now you tell me that I'm being trafficked. There's someone who has my kids at home. Okay. If I don't do what he wants, it's going to hurt me and my kids. Okay. I'm trapped here. And now you tell me that God hates me because of it. Where is she going to go? Where? Nowhere. I tried to commit suicide so many times because I felt like my only way out from the pain I was feeling was to kill myself. I didn't think Jesus still loved me. I didn't think I deserved it. And that was a complete lie. Like, it's why we go back and we tell them, like, God loves you no matter what. God loves everybody.
Because you know God loves you now.
I know now. Like,
and you share that love with others, don't you?
I can continue my life doing like if I don't know what's happening and letting them still believe those lies. I want to go back. I don't care if it's putting my life at risk. I just want to go back. I want them to have a chance to run away too. Yeah.
I love your heart, and we're thankful that God still saves, redeems, pulls out. And hey, folks, you're talking about a Christian girl that was caught up in this, from abuse as a child to domestic violence, isolation, then moved her toward trafficking. Tell us about that. So
my neighbors were two guys that were strippers. And so I had started working in a nightlife, sorry, my accent, with my boyfriend because he got fired from the school because he got caught drunk. So he got fired from the police academy. Yeah, academy, yeah. And so he started working with his brother at a cabaret. And so we needed money because we had nothing. So I started working there. But I was not a dancer or anything like that.
This is a nightclub. A cabaret.
And so he started like taking drugs and stuff like that. And I started taking some cocaine too because of trying to numb what it was doing to me. And so my neighbors were like, hey, we know that you're a dancer. Like, we know that you love dancing and you're beautiful and we know a way for you to make money. They heard the screams, like, they were right next door. They were my neighbors, so they knew like things were not going well in the house. So they exploited the vulnerability in me.
Interesting.
Yeah, and told me like, hey, we can take you to Belgium when it works in the weekend, and you can dance as a stripper, and then maybe you can find a way out like that. So I started dancing. And, the cultures glorify, like, dancing. And, like, the beautiful girls I remember watching the music videos of that girl with the red dress that looks all beautiful in the middle and empowered. And I was like, oh, maybe I can be that girl. And I'm 17 and a half at the time. And I'm like, a way out. I remember hiding my money in my jewelry box going back home, hoping I would have enough to get out of my abusive relationship. What I didn't know is that those guys were part of a trafficking ring. And when they brought me into that strip club is when I got connected with all those traffickers that groomed me. And it's a long story, so I'm trying to see what I can share. But it's I started dancing there, and a guy... So they were all like the leaders there were all connected from a trafficking ring from the north of France, or maybe further, but I know the north of France, Belgium and Italy. And so what they did, it was that empowering moment when you're just dancing, you're making money. I always say like it's the time of like sparkle and champagne. You used to be exploited and your sexuality being taken away from you, your body. And then for a moment you feel like I'm empowered. I'm empowered to have my body. I'm getting something out of it. Like even though, and I don't have to have sex. I'm just on stage. Nobody's touching me. So I kind of enjoyed it for a little bit. Like it was that honeymoon period that a lot of girls go through. That isn't still for a long time, but I had that moment. And I met a guy that said it worked for, he had a model agency, and he had
a what?
A model agency.
Okay, model agency.
And 2 magazines and stuff. And he loved me. He wanted to take care of me.
Next step.
So I'm like, I can run away with him. Okay. So I started dating him. I escaped from my boyfriend. I was so scared of him, to tell you, like, the control he had over me. I only took a bag, left everything else. Left my dog, left my animals. I had to go. Like, and what I didn't know is he was in money laundering. He was in drug trafficking, and I found out because of the police caught him for a thing. So I was interviewed, and I'm like, I can't believe that I ended up in this when I was trying to get out of this kind of things. I never wanted to. I've always been someone that wants to help people, that has a smart woman that wants to do great things, not this. Like, and so one of the girls that worked at the club that now I know was a victim of trafficking, that now was recruiting girls. I didn't know at the time. She was older than me, looked empowered. She said, hey, you can come to my house. I trusted it. I didn't know women could hurt you.
Now, that's an interesting point, because a lot of people listening to this or watching, they don't understand that they're female traffickers, recruiters, who know how to break women.
Yeah.
And those of you watching and listening, listen, we've been doing this work for years, and we're giving you insight into what it looks like in Europe. And there are so many organizations that say they're anti-trafficking or counter-trafficking, but it's all talk for the most part.
Yes.
Very little do. So I hope people appreciate the insight that you're providing and that we're giving right now. And that's one of the parts, is the stereotype of it's just all men, with cigarettes and whiskey and tattoos. Yeah. Sometimes it's the most beautiful women. Yeah,
gorgeous blonde women. Yeah.
Yeah, who are smart, and they captivate the hearts of women, young women, and then turn them into this. Yeah. Okay.
So in her house, she was bringing men, and I had to have sex with them, and I didn't know anything about sex trafficking. Okay. And I'm used to be abused anyway. And so I was in her house. I have to, where am I going to go if I don't stay, if I don't do what they want? Like, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do? And I always say, like, people don't understand, like, why did you not fight back when they were asking you to have sex? Right. Well, I tried to say no, I do, right, I did. Yeah. But when they're not going to stop. Right. I was abused before as a child. I tried to say no. Nobody heard me. Somehow my brain was reprogrammed in a way that if you say no and they will keep going, just get paralyzed, don't move, let them do whatever. Because if not, you're going to be hurt really badly. And anyway, you won't be able to get away from what's going on. Right. So that was my choices in my mind. Do you want to go through that in pain, or do you want to go through that by just numbing yourself and letting them do whatever? Yeah.
You're choosing your poison.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that, because, if you haven't been abused, if you haven't been through trauma, especially over prolonged time, you're already conditioned for the response to go, just let it happen, and don't fight. And it's not that bad. You start justifying compared to what would really be bad. How did it make you feel when this your trafficker, this blonde woman, did she tell you, hey, I'm going to pay you a little money for each guy you have sex with? Or was it, hey, you're staying in my house, I'm taking care of you, I have somebody come on over, just kind of take care of them?
I think she was making money, but I couldn't see it at first. Right. She was dealing with the guys, and it was kind of like, I was so obedient because of how broken I was, that she was just bringing the guys, and the guys are there, and she's doing it, so you have to do it. So it's like, she didn't need to tell me. She didn't, like, they were showing me that, hey, this is going to happen. Right. I'm here. Like, you're there, and my only way out would have been to get outside, but where am I going to go? I didn't have anywhere. And I live in her house, so, I live in her house. Like, so in my mind, it's like I have to do what she's asking me to do. The only time I saw the money exchange is one day she said, hey, I'm going to take you in a brothel. And I didn't really know what a brothel was, but like she said, it's a house of prostitution, and I'm going to take you there. I'm changing your name. So she called me Angie, and it's what they do to help you like dissociate
Dissociate.
Yeah, first. And I followed. I just followed because I was so broken that I didn't felt like I could say no.
Yeah.
Like I really couldn't. Like now, I in my mind, I'm like, wow, why did I not say no? But I knew my no would not be heard.
Yeah. In the moment, again, after you've suffered and been traumatized. Let me explain it to this way. For someone who's been in a car accident, just one car accident, somebody hit you from behind or the side, or you ram into. Do you know how you feel when you get too close to a vehicle, or you have to press on the brakes and your body tenses up, and this is a triggered response to what happened. So it's like 100 times worse than that because it happens to your mind and your body. Now let's give a perspective for the guys who use women or girls, right? So in their minds, for them to have sexual satisfaction, they're controlling, they're overpowering. But at any point, as a girl being used, was sex enjoyable? Did you like the men when you were telling them how good they were, or whatever? Was any of it real to you?
No, absolutely not.
Did it disgust you?
Completely.
Yeah, but you couldn't let them know that, could you? So you got to let them know they're the great lover, they're the great sex man, right?
You have to give them what they want.
Yes, and it is an act. It's a show.
And it's why you change your name. Because then it's not Sarah Jane talking, it's Angie.
And Angie can be and do whatever Angie,
they want.
Yeah.
I'm going to be what you want me to be.
Yeah. So I hope some men listening can understand that it's a lie based upon a lie. And using someone for sexual gratification, it's not only wrong, it's evil. And God sees it, knows it, and your only hope is the cross of Christ. But trust me, if you're doing it or if you're tracking someone, we are very active in finding and pursuing justice. And it doesn't matter if you're a weak Christian, a conservative, a liberal, an atheist, a Muslim. If you're caught in our crosshairs of hurting women and children, we're going to make you pay the price for that. And do you think that's good? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely.
But always still giving people the hope, the chance of Christ, because that's what redeemed you. That's what redeemed me. But I just think we need to let people know justice and consequences are no more natural. And if you play in that game and if you do that type of evil, beware.